Hello chess friends and welcome to your side of chess channel and welcome to a spectacular game from the computer chess rating list website, the popular CCRL. We have here Stockfish 16 against another top engine Viridithas in an amazing Petrov defense in the beautiful Russian game. But today we'll see how the fish is handling this defensive ideas of the Petrov defense. Today we'll see a beautiful attacking formation here by the fish. In my opinion, very important game because the Petrov defense is really one of the most solid openings that you can play against after the first move e4. There is a certain symmetry that I think bothers white in the beginning of the opening stage, so it's not so easy to find any progressive plans with the white pieces. But when the fish is playing, it's always a little bit different. Here Stockfish will try really out a beautiful sharp attacking formation with an amazing fisher pole tactic. Put your seatbelts on and enjoy again in the wild attacking idea here by Stockfish 16. So with the white pieces, the fish open with the move e4, e5 by Viridithas, knight f3, knight f6. The Russian game, the Petrov defense is on the board. Knight takes e5. We have d6, knight f3, knight to e4 here by Viridithas, and now comes the Nimzowitsch attack with the move knight to c3. If, for instance, black retreat here has been played also many times, but I don't like this opening line for black because after d4, d5, bishop to d3, we can notice that black is lacking in development here. White is already 3 minor pieces out, so in this fast development principles, I think white is much better, of course, without a clear advantage, but you have already broke many minor pieces out. So in my opinion, not the optimal way here to proceed for black. After move knight to c3, that's why Viridithas took knight takes c3. We have d takes c3. At least we have now an asymmetrical position in the center of the board. The position is at least unbalanced a little bit, which is of course creating more attacking chances, not only for white, but I think also here for black. We have now bishop to e7, bishop to e3, castling, queen to d2, knight to d7, pretty standard stuff with the preparation to get the knight on f6, because when black gave up the knight on c3 here, his knight on f6, then the problem is always in the Petrov defense that you don't have so many minor piece defenders in front of the king. You're only having pawns in front of the king, which is of course not a good situation, because look at this, after queenside castling and bishop to d3, white is building already an amazing attacking formation. So we have now c6, we have bishop to d3, look at this, both of these bishops are very dangerous. The knight is coming into the game, the queen is already also there, so slowly but surely the position gets more and more dangerous for both sides. We have now the move d5, which is of course, obviously, when it comes to pawn control of the center, a better position for black. Black is always maybe the opportunity to later push the pawn on c5, maybe even to d4, maybe even to c4, what the position is allowing. So a little bit black is, I think, an advantage here in the center of the board when it comes to pawn mobility. We have a4 by the fish, immediately going for the attack with the preparation to play knight to g5 and hitting the weak h7 square. We have knight to c5, Stockfish goes with knight to g5, and now, for instance, if you take knight to d3, this wasn't played in the game, it still leads into a very complicated line for black, because we have already a checkmate threat here. You're pretty much forced to play something like g6, but now with f3, g4, h5 later, the position could be very dangerous still here for black. You're trying maybe bishop to f5, queen to d2. Okay, playable as I said, but there are also several dark problems, and we have to say it also in this position, this opposite side attack game, where black king is on the king side, white king is of course on the queen side, and in this opposite side attack games where both sides are trying to attack its opponent, it's always about who is faster on the attack. And I think we can agree that even in this scenario, although white doesn't have any more the bishop here, white is slightly faster with the potential g4, maybe h5. So I think white would crack the position on the king side much faster than black here, because obviously you cannot play c5 anymore because the d5 is not working. So as I said, tricky stuff already. After move knight to g5, Viridithas didn't take. Now the bishop on d3, so Viridithas simply tried to kick away this knight from g5 with the move h6, and now now the fun starts. Now Stockfish will leave this knight. We're now in move 12. Stockfish will leave now this knight hanging there on g5 till the move 29. For 17 consecutive moves, Stockfish will play on this beautiful attacking idea. After move h6, Stockfish plays now the powerful king to b1. Improves simply the position of the king. Let's see now what happens if you try maybe again knight to d3, queen to d3. Again, the checkmate threat is here. If you try maybe to, I don't know, take the knight, then after h6, after h6 g5, here is already a checkmate threat. You're pretty much forced to play the move f5. Now we play g6, very dangerous stuff with ideas bishop to c5, queen to h3, queen to h7, checkmate. For instance, you're trying, I don't know, let's see, a bad move, queen to e8, and we play bishop to c5. You're trying maybe here f4. If you play bishop to c5, then look at this, rook to h8, queen to h3 is immediately a checkmate here. So you're pretty much forced here after bishop to c5 to play the move f4 to control the h3 square, not allowing here the queen to come on this square, or maybe getting another rook activity here through the h file. But it's a little bit again dangerous. Rook to e1 is going to happen, bishop to f5, queen is coming here on d1. You're trying maybe to lock the position with bishop to e4, but again this tactic, rook to h8, then queen to h5 follow up. You have to play here something like queen to g6. You have to give up now the bishop here on e7 after rook to e7. Again, white is slightly better, but maybe with this opposite colored bishops, middle game / endgame stage, I think black could survive this. I see many games in the database also in this line. All of them are ending with the draws. In the Lichess database, there are not so many games in this particular line. So, okay, maybe Viridithas could have gone also into this particular line. But okay, here for move king to b1, we have b6 by Viridithas, bishop to h7, king to h8, bishop to d4. A very, very aggressive move. Again, if you try here h takes g5, then after h takes g5, bishop to g5, bishop to f5 is coming. You have to sacrifice now the bishop back in order to stay in the game longer. But now after queen to h6, it's simply game over here for black. So it's not working. So now after bishop to d4, this attack through the h file, and also with queen to h6, this is simply already very messy here for black. So that's why after bishop to d4, we have queen to d6. Viridithas is controlling the h6 square, which we have seen is a dangerous spot now in white's attack. We have rook from d to e1, and now I think Viridithas makes its crucial mistake in the game, plays now the move a5. And this move meets with a certain idea that we have talked about in the beginning. We have the opposite side attack game. You should attack your opponent's king as fast as you can, but now it's simply not working. Here, Viridithas underestimated, I think, Stockfish progressive ideas on the king side. A better choice now was finally to take bishop to g5, and actually it is defendable. It seems so that you should not do it, but here after h takes g5, you can play king to h7. Now after bishop to e5, you bring the queen here, g takes h6, g takes h6. Now we double up the rooks on the h file. Still very dangerous. The problem is you cannot take the bishop, of course, because of the queen's activity against the rook on f8. So I'm telling you this because I think this is the only way here to make a draw here for black. After rook from e to h1, you have to play queen to g5, even allow here certain checks by white, but actually after rook to f8, king to f8, the attack is now splashed, I think, here for white. You could try maybe something like bishop to d6 now, but now the king again has access to the gx square. You have to play something like queen to h2, knight to d6, and now after rook to h8, king to f7, queen to d6. Playable position, I think, for white. I think white can deliver checks, and this game should probably end with a draw, because still you cannot move the bishop, of course, because of some threats of queen to d7. So I think after a couple more moves, this game would end in a draw. But bishop to g5 was the only move here that Viridithas should have played in order to survive this dangerous attack by Stockfish. And I see one game in the database, it's Thomas Grun against Federico Sanchez Gonzalez, in which black played here h takes g5 and survived actually white's beautiful attack. But a5 is simply not working here for Viridithas. Stockfish plays now f3, prepares now here the move g4, which is a very, very dangerous concept, then the pawns are rolling here, and also this move f3 controls the e4 square that we have seen previously was a good defensive strategy by black. We have rook to a7 by Viridithas, bishop to e5, queen to d7, and now g4, going for the attack. Again, now h takes g5, h takes g5 is not working anymore because there's simply too much pressure here against black's king. After move g4, we have f6. Look at this. Three pieces are now hanging here by white. Very, very dynamic, wild position all over the board. Stockfish continues with bishop to f5. Queen drops back, and now bishop to d4. Here we have bishop to f5. G takes f5. Let's see now what happens if you play again. F takes g5 seems tempting again, but look at this. After rook to e7, we sacrifice the rook for the exchange just in order to crack the position here. King to g8, now we're breaking and entering. H takes g7, very dangerous. Queen to h2 is going to happen. You're trying maybe to get the queen here. Bishop takes, now the queen is coming here after a couple of checks. You can also go for the b6 pawn, which is also, I think, pretty solid here. At least the Stockfish engine suggests that you should finally give up the attack on this side of the board, go for the pawns, and Stockfish is saying here white is winning because of the dominant pawn storm that's coming here on the queen side. Still very, very hard for both sides to play. If you could just imagine this game in a human level, I think still white would mess up in some lines this position, but as I said, in top engine level, when Stockfish is saying something is +3 for white, I believe that this endgame Stockfish would win for sure. So as I said, even in this line, f takes g5 is not working because of this tactic rook to e7, and then we're breaking, entering here with the support of the dark square bishop. So not working. After g takes f5, that's why rook to b7, rook from e to g1. We have queen to c8, hitting now this pawn. If you try now f takes g5, then it's even more dangerous. Look at this. We can even play rook to h6 here in this particular line. You're trying, I don't know, bishop to h6, queen to h6, again, simply wins the game. So if you try to escape with king to g8, then rook takes g5 is again winning the game here on spot, I think, for white. So now again f takes g5 is simply not working. So after rook from e to g1, Viridithas tried this one. Stockfish covers the f5 square. We have queen to e8, a3, creating a breathing space for the king. This move will be very important for the later stage of the game. So Stockfish sensed it could have problems then later on the back rank if the rooks are playing more and more actively. We have queen to d8, and now queen to g4. Amazing move here by the fish, trying of course to sneak in with the queen here on g6, and then to deliver checkmate on h7. We have bishop to d6, rook to e1, king to g8. Now comes this idea, queen to h5, rook to e7, queen to g6, and now f takes g5 in move 29. After the move 12, the knight was standing there on the square g5. Now finally Viridithas dared to take it out. Very, very crazy position. After f takes g5, now comes rook to e7 by the fish, queen to e7, h takes g5, queen to g5, deflects now the queen from the defense of the bishop. Stockfish gets its pawn back, its minor piece back, and has still this beautiful bishop that's crossing against the g7 square. Rook to g1 is now the huge threat. So we have queen to f5, rook to g1. So Viridithas has to cover now. Stockfish takes another pawn, queen to h6, knight to e6, and now bishop to b6. Stockfish is grabbing now more and more pawns, and out of this tactical mess, Stockfish gained actually an extra pawn, which is of course a favorable endgame here for white. We have a4 by Viridithas, queen to h2, queen to f3. We have queen to b8 check. Viridithas has to cover, but now after bishop to d4, again we have a dangerous attack against the square g7. You could try, of course, knight to d4, but then it checkmate immediately. So if you try, for instance, rook to f7, then we can play simply check, and now we take the c6 pawn. White could, of course, be challenged in this way, could lose maybe the bishop, but now we deliver a couple of checks with pin, and in maybe some of these lines, also the rook could be lost. So it's simply not working. So after bishop to d4, we have g6 by Viridithas, which makes, of course, the power of the dark square bishop of white even much more stronger now. Now we have queen to a5, we have c5. If you play now knight to d4, then after c takes d4, queen to d4, rook to g6. So you lose also this pawn. Then also this pawn is hanging. You're trying maybe king to h7. We take, you deliver a check, but no good checks are anymore possible. So you see really the importance of this prophylactic move by Stockfish in the middle game stage, when Stockfish played the calm a3 and secured the king here on the queen side. So after queen to a5, that's why Viridithas tried c5. We have bishop to c5, knight to c5, queen to c5, king to g7, controlling the g6 pawn, rook to d1, attacking the pawn further, and now after rook to d4, rook to f1, king to a2. Again, you see the importance of a3 by this beautiful prophylactic move by Stockfish. Queen to c2 by Viridithas, check by Stockfish, another check, and now this pawn is taken. Obviously, in this endgame, it's game over here for black. Viridithas, of course, tried to battle, to trade off the queens, king gets closer, but now Stockfish can also push the pawn, has also two connected passers on this side of the board. We have rook to g4, controlling the further progress of the pawn, king to f5, Stockfish retreats, we have king to e6, king to b3, and now Stockfish simply push the pawn further. This pawn gets deflected. We have now after rook to a7 in this particular position, Viridithas resigned because of rook to g6. You have to now go with your king here or here, and then rook to g7 is again simply winning the game on spot. So very crazy position. If you get here the king on e5, then the problem is now your king is simply too far away from the action. b5 is going to happen, and you don't have access anymore with the king. With the support of the rook and of the king, this pawn will be eventually promoted, or probably black will simply give it up will give it up the rook for a pawn. Again, it's game over for black. So the Stockfish engine evaluates this position after rook to a7 as +5 in white favor. So great game by the fish. I think great instructive idea how to dismantle the Petrov defense, but you see it's complicated to play this Fisher pole tactic. You have to really struggle here. You have to find really the best tactical sequences. Of course, an engine like Stockfish can play like this, but I'm not sure how many of us would dare to play this tactic, especially leaving the knight hanging for 17 moves. Very immortal game again by Stockfish 16. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Nimzowitsch attack against the Petrov defense. If you want to see more spectacular, brutal, sharp tactical chess like this, check out our commented chess games played by computers. Here's the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what do we say in the end? Chess is the best, of course.